Today I want to talk about one of the most amazingly feminine scents ever created, Dama Bianca by Xerjoff, and most importantly, how it compares to two of its most popular dupes, Fyora by Paris Corner and Janu Noir by Alhermaine. I have many thoughts, so let's get started. So first off, let me explain what the Dama Bianca DNA is. Dama Bianca is a very, very elegant, fluffy, airy type of fragrance. It opens up with kumquat and lime, but overall the scent just feels powdery, slightly vanillic, a little bit sweet from those fruit, but it's just a very ethereal, fluffy type of scent profile. And I think I officially have to stop saying that I don't like powdery scents because this apparently is my type of powdery scent. It's phenomenal. I think if you like Anna Abiad Poudre by Lattafa, or Black Tie by Celine, or Narciso Rodriguez Poudre, any of those, then you're probably going to have an idea of what this scent profile is like. And if you like those, you will likely like this one as well. So I had smelled Dama Bianca before at a store, but I had never owned a sample or tested it out on my skin. And so my first introduction to actually owning something that is trying to emulate that DNA was with Paris Corner's Fyora. So this is going to be very similar to the Dama Bianca overall scent profile. However, it does go in a slightly different direction in my opinion. I would consider it to be a lot fruitier. It opens up with a passion fruit note, which is actually the same note in the Armani Power of You fragrance. I don't know why that just came to my brain, but it did. But it opens up with a passion fruit note, and it definitely comes off fruitier than the kumquat and lime that is in Dama Bianca, at least to my nose. And I would also say that because it's fruitier, the powderiness in this overall scent in comparison to Dama Bianca is also a bit more toned down. In terms of longevity and projection, I would say it is in the mid-range. I get at least 6 hours of solid wear, which I'm not mad at with this type of scent profile. As it dries down, I feel like the powderiness almost goes away more and more, and I'm left with more of like a fruity, musky, sandalwood type of vibe that I get in the base of the fragrance. It's quite beautiful and definitely opened up the gate for me wanting to even try out other fragrances in that scent DNA. In terms of the packaging, it's not as hideous as some of the others, but it's definitely nothing to write home about, so I'll keep my comments to myself on this one and just accept it. Moving on, let's talk about Alhermaine's Janu Noir. This was actually recommended by a few people on TikTok, on YouTube, when I was talking about Fyora and how much I liked it. Everyone was like, you gotta try Janu Noir. So I was like, all right, I guess I gotta try Janu Noir. And I totally understand why. Unlike the Fyora by Paris Corner, in my opinion, Janu Noir really works hard to try to stay closer to the original DNA of Dama Bianca. However, where it differs is its performance. Because Dama Bianca, guys, while it's a very beautiful scent, the projection and the longevity, well, projection I would say is moderate. I do find that it does project off of my skin, but the longevity, more importantly, is pretty light. It's pretty weak. I get maybe about 4 hours before wanting to reapply, or I'm just going nose blind to it. Who knows? It's one of those two options. But it's pretty light. Whereas this one is pretty damn beastly, especially for this type of scent DNA. If Xerjoff were to come out with an intense version of Dama Bianca, I really think it would be Janu Noir. The powderiness in this fragrance is so dialed up. It really, really lasts on the skin. It really, really projects. That is one thing that this fragrance does a fantastic job at. I think the packaging is also really nice and chic and classy, really elegant, well done by Alhermaine. So now let me get into which fragrance I think might be right for which type of individual and which fragrance is going to be my overall pick moving forward. So if you like the idea of a slightly fruitier, less powdery focused version of Dama Bianca, then I for sure would recommend checking out Fyora by Paris Corner because that's what it's going to give you. I would say in terms of projection and longevity, it's in the middle of the original Dama Bianca and Janu Noir. It's definitely not as long lasting as Janu Noir, but it's definitely longer lasting than the original Dama Bianca. But again, it is going to lean in a more fruity direction, less powdery, which I can definitely see some people really preferring and enjoying more. If you want a beast mode Dama Bianca at a more affordable price point, and if you like the idea of smelling like a lot of baby powder, then Janu Noir is your girl. Performs excellent, smells closer to the original DNA than Fyora, and again is going to be stronger for you. Now, for me personally, even though this usually goes against what I believe in terms of pricier fragrances, projection, longevity, all that jazz, when this bottle is finished, I will repurchase a full-size bottle of Dama Bianca. Even though the projection longevity is not my favorite, this scent I think is so beautiful and so airy and delicate and feminine that I'm willing to deal with that. because while Janu Noir is beautiful and definitely provides better performance on paper, what it gives up for that better performance is some of the etherealness of the fragrance. And something that is kind of annoying, but I think just kind of a fact of life when we're dealing with airier, more ethereal-like fragrances, is that I think it's hard to have a very light, ethereal beast mode fragrance, because part of being ethereal and airy in nature kind of goes against being very strong in terms of like a perfume. Like, it's supposed to be fluffy and light and delicate. And I don't know, maybe there are fragrances out there in the world that are like that, but can still last and project for more than 12 hours. But this is definitely not one of them. And now that I get an idea of what this smells like dialed up, like Janu Noir, everything being more intense, I prefer the original scent profile. While I enjoy Janu Noir and how beastly it is and its performance, I think the powderiness of it can be a bit too intense for me at times. Like, I would catch wafts of it throughout the day, and sometimes I would just get a little bit sick of it. It was a little bit too much baby powder. But the way that it is done and expressed in the Dama Bianca is the perfect dosage for me. I don't catch it as much, and when I do catch it, it's light and airy. And it, honestly, to me, the baby powder does start to calm down as the scent progresses, and you're just left with this very pretty, slightly sweet, musky, airy, just kind of scent trail that is, it's just beautiful. It's not presented in the exact same way in Janu Noir or Fyora, and it's truly, truly beautiful. Now, I don't think that most people would think that that is worth them getting a full-size bottle of, which I totally understand. But for me, I so enjoy the scent profile that I really find it to be worth it. So I'm definitely still gonna use up both my Fyora and Janu Noir, but once I use them up, I'm 100% gonna just get the original Dama Bianca full-size bottle. This is one of those soft girl, feminine fragrances that I can see myself keeping in my collection forever. And on a side note, guys, you know what's so funny about this to me? Like I mentioned before, I had smelled Janu Noir at a store, but I didn't really test it out on skin. It wasn't really a big deal. I just smelling things really, really quickly. My first real interaction with the DNA was through the dupes, was through Fyora and then through Janu Noir. And the reason why I find it funny is because of all of the negative reception that these dupe houses have from the more luxury high-end brand names, because they feel like they are, I don't know, just, I guess, stealing their work and cheapening the experience of fragrance. But recipes, like formulas for fragrances, cannot be copywritten, right? They cannot be just your own. Anyone can make that. And for some reason, a lot of the higher end luxury niche brands don't understand that a lot of people may not be at a point in their life where they can easily afford to experience a lot of these different scent DNAs because of how pricey they are. When I was a young girl in my teenage years, falling in love with fragrance, I wasn't able to try out any dupes because there weren't really that many dupes out there at that time. Not like there are now. I had to buy samples, I had to go to the store, but there were so many fragrances that were niche that I just was never able to smell or get even an idea of what the hell this fragrance is like, that I remember Demi and Jeremy and Steven from Adolescence would talk about, and I'm like, wow, I wish I could smell that, but can't afford that right now, not even a sample right now. And I think it's great that we now live in a time and age where young people can be introduced to more fragrance DNAs, which will then introduce them to just more of the fragrance community. And in my opinion, help them to fall in love with fragrance more, right? I don't think that scent DNAs and types of fragrances should be gatekept, in my personal opinion. And what's funniest and most ironic about this to me is that Xerjoff should be thanking Al Harmain and Paris Corner, because the chances of me just buying Dama Bianca were probably pretty low. It's because I had a low entry point and was able to experience that fragrance and then finally get curious enough, because I like the scent DNA so much, that in comparison to the original, I picked the original, and that's the right one for me. And it's like, if your fragrance is good, right? If your fragrance is everything that you feel that it is as the brand and the perfumer or whatever, it will find its audience. It will find the people who feel that this fragrance is worthwhile enough getting, even though there are other cheaper alternatives on the market. And that, I think, is good for us consumers, because again, competition is good. I should be able to try your lasagna and figure out which lasagna I like better for my taste buds and my wallet. So very, very thankful for dupe culture and all of the DNAs that are now being, more accessible to people. So anyways, rant over. Let me know, guys, if you have tried any of these three, the original Dama Bianca, Janu Noir, or the Fyora from Paris Corner. And I will see you guys back again tomorrow for our next episode.